You're listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
It is National Lutheran Schools Week. We are celebrating Lutheran schools across the country. And today we're going to head to Plano, Texas, meet students and faculty from Faith Lutheran School in Plano, Texas. Thanks to Concordia University, Wisconsin for supporting The Coffee Hour. Find out more about Concordia University, Wisconsin at cuw.edu.
Live uncommon.
Joining us today, Mr. Timothy Merritt, high school principal and teacher at Faith Lutheran School in Plano, Texas. Mr. Merritt, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
And along with Mr. Merritt, we have 4 students today, seniors. We have John. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
And Olivia. Good morning, Olivia.
Good morning.
And 2 juniors as well. David. Good morning, David.
Hello.
And Slade. Slade, welcome to the Coffee Hour.
Thank you.
Well, it is a delight to get to hear from each of you and learn about your experience as students at Faith Lutheran School in Plano, Texas. Let's start with Olivia. Olivia, could you tell us, why did your family choose Faith Lutheran School for you?
Well, it's always been very important to my family that my sister and I go to a Christian school so that we don't only learn the basics of, arithmetic, reading, writing, but we also learn about the Bible throughout our education as we're growing up and into high school. So my family was really excited to learn that we could attend a classical and Lutheran school at Faith Lutheran.
Slade, how about you? Why did your family choose Faith Lutheran School for you?
Mine's similar to Olivia's. It's the combination of a quality education that you can receive in things like science and math, but it's taught through a Christian worldview, which is really important to my family.
And David, how about you?
For us, this school is teaching very much well about the faith, but also it is classical, which means we learn things such as Latin and Greek, and we read the old authors like Cicero and Augustine. And that is very important and teaches us not only what is in the world, but also how to use that knowledge.
John, why did your family choose Faith Lutheran School for you?
Well, one of the big reasons was, I've been going to this school my entire life, so it was an obvious choice to go to the high school, but also because it teaches a lot of stuff, like David said, the old authors, Plato, Aristotle, St. Augustine. It teaches all those great works along with all the things that you would get, say, at public school, arithmetic, English, but it teaches all of that through a Christian point of view. Yep.
So what does a typical day look like for you at Faith Lutheran High School? Let's start with you, John.
A typical day at Faith Lutheran High School consists of getting up, going to school. We start up with a daily devotion where we learn about the readings that are going to be taught about in church that week, and we sing hymns together. After that, we start learning classes. So we have physics, we got our omnibus, which is a reform.
It's a combination of English and English literature, history, and theology taught. We do primary source work. So we read books by these ancient authors while also studying the period of history that it was taught in.
Lots of fellowship throughout the day, and as always, we always end with a word of prayer and go our separate ways.
Olivia, does your day look any different than what John described?
Well, that's pretty much what the mornings look like. But then in the afternoon, the juniors and seniors get to go over to Collin County Community College, where we can take dual credit classes for any classes that might not be offered at Faith. So in the afternoons, we get to go over there and have extra classes where we get to learn more stuff.
That's awesome. And for the juniors, David and Slade, does your day look any different at Faith Lutheran High School? Let's start with Slade.
Not much different because the upperclassmen are generally together in a lot of their classes. Though as individuals, sometimes myself and David are in extracurriculars or like strings, so we go do that throughout the day, and other honors classes like logic we participate in as well.
Mm-hmm. David, do you have anything to add to what your day looks like?
No, not really. My day is almost exactly identical to Slade, actually.
So what has been your most challenging class then, David?
Well, this year I'd say it's probably Greek. So we here at the school learn Latin for most of the time here. But now in our junior year, we're learning Greek, and it is completely new. Learn all the vocabulary again, all of the what's it called, the charts for all the verbs and everything. And it's quite difficult because whereas I used to be relatively decent at Latin, knowing all the stuff, I'm basically starting from scratch again. But it's a good class. I like it.
Slade, how about you? What's the most challenging class that you've taken so far at Faith Lutheran High School?
For me, it's definitely omnibus, simply because of the workload that comes with it, because we do read the writings of all the old authors. It's not bits and pieces or anything. It's the actual writings. So there's a lot of time and effort that goes into that class if you want to learn it well.
Olivia, what's been the most challenging course for you?
I think I agree with Slade because the omnibus course, the readings are very difficult. It's we don't get any abridged versions. It's all primary sources. But I think my close second is what would have been Latin, which I'm not taking this semester, but I have taken in the past, and that was always a very challenging course as well.
John, what class was most challenging for you?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Slade. I think that omnibus is probably the most challenging, simply because the workload is a lot. But in order to learn those books well and everything that they're trying to teach us, you really have to apply yourself and study hard with them.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've mentioned this as you were describing your days about opening with hymns, which I think is awesome, and learning about Christ. But tell me a little bit more about when you learn about Christ and his love for you during your school day. Let's start with Olivia.
Well, I mean, there's not a class that Faith Lutheran that we don't learn about Christ in. I mean, our math classes, like our algebra, it's taught by Pastor Keyser. So, I mean, everything, we get to learn about Christ throughout all of our classes. The omnibus curriculum includes theology, even in music and science and art, we learn about Christ in all of them. And we get to see the beauty of his creation in all of our classes. And of course, devotions as well. So our day is full of learning about the Bible.
David, when do you hear about Christ during your day?
I have to agree with Olivia on this one. In omnibus, we read the old authors such as Plato, but we don't just read it from his point of view, but we look at Plato's points and we apply that to the Bible and how that works. In omnibus, it's sometimes that they bring connections into the Bible, sometimes too much, in my opinion, but where it doesn't apply. But it's generally pretty good. And the physics and chemistry, we don't learn it. We don't learn it in replacement of what it actually is when we learn in the context of the Bible. But we learn how our creation is orderly and functions well.
Slade, when do you get to learn about Christ during your day?
Definitely during omnibus. There's a lot of that during that class because we read not only the old philosophers who might not have been Christians, but we also read writings by the church fathers who were very influential in our faith. Mm-hmm. And throughout that class, we do read the entirety of the Bible. So that is definitely a key part.
And John, what about you? When do you get to hear and learn about Christ during your day at Faith Lutheran?
Well, Slade already covered our omnibus curriculum, so I'm going to go with physics and our other sciences. We really get to study in depth the beauty and wonder of God's creations in a way that you can't really get at any other school, because it won't let you talk about Christ and how God created the world.
Mr. Merritt, let's talk about your vocation as a principal and teacher at Faith Lutheran School in Plano. What do you love about being a Lutheran educator?
Well, I love being able to talk to the students about their faith and to integrate it into everything that we do. But I also like not just during the class time, but it's the discussions that take place in between class times. And kind of surprised these guys didn't mention this as one of the times that they learn about Christ, because these guys in their, quote, spare time are constantly having either theological discussions or moral discussions or discussions tied into the current things going on in our government and in our country as well, all from a Christian perspective as well. And I love seeing the transformation that they go through. A lot of times when they come in as freshmen, they are not necessarily focused on the amount of diligence that's required to do the work of our high school, and it's often a big shock to them. And I just love watching what they develop into by their junior and senior year, and seeing them able to handle anything that comes on for the rest of their life.
Last school year and this year certainly have presented some challenges. What keeps you going? How do your students encourage you in your vocation?
Well, I'm actually one of those people that actually thrives on challenges. So for me, having the challenge of having to move everything to an online format during the time that we were closed down for a bit last year, and we were kind of ahead of the curve because we've been offering classes online across the nation already. And so it was just a matter of being able to move our existing students into an online platform as well during that time. So I kind of thrive on that. But also it's just seeing how much that they enjoy being together, because you would think with as much time as they spend together, especially since a lot of them have been at this school since preschool, that when they're outside of school time, they wouldn't be together. But the fact of the matter is they're still together. We got the girls are playing volleyball together and the boys are playing soccer together, and they get together with each other at each other's houses. And so it's energizing for me to see how they enjoy being around each other, and they enjoy trying to encourage each other and build each other up.
Thanks be to God. Well, it has been just a delight to learn more about Faith Lutheran High School in Plano, Texas, to meet seniors and juniors, John, Olivia, David, and Slade. Thanks so much for students for taking some time out of your schedule to be our guests on the coffee hour today.
No problem.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you,
Thank
Andy.
you.
Mr. Merritt, thanks so much for spending some time with us on the coffee hour and sharing with us about Faith Lutheran High School in Plano, Texas.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You're listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.